Welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. I'm Michelle Fleming.
And I'm Renee Smith. Well, guess what, Michelle? We're going to talk some more about newspaper math today.
Newspaper math, more to do with newspapers?
Absolutely, because we're going to be going to the grocery store, and I've got all kinds of ideas of things you could do after you've checked out the ads in your newspaper and you're headed to the grocery store.
It looks like we're going to the grocery store to buy candy?
No, probably not. We're really going to go to the store with we're going to take our child with us to the grocery store after we've kind of gone through the ads and figured out what it is we can save money on that week, and we've done that little discussion with them. Then we're actually going to make the trip to the store.
We're going to take them with us to the store.
I hate it when that happens, but yes, we are going to take them with us.
Because they can learn great math things right along, real world math things right along the way.
And hopefully that'll help them when they are out on their own and have to do their own grocery shopping.
Okay.
And you can start when kids are really small. You don't have to wait till they're almost out the door.
Okay. Well, I know you're going to give us lots of ideas.
Yes,
so
I am.
I am going to get the chalkboard ready so I can record your thoughts.
That would be good.
Okay.
Well, the first thing that I would have students or kids do with me is, because my first place that I usually go to in the grocery store is the produce department.
Okay.
So one of the things that I would have kids do is, as I'm weighing whatever I'm buying, what's in season right now? The cherries. I'm going to buy a bag full of cherries, and they tell me in the sale flyer that they're 99 cents a pound. So I'm going to have kids, as I put the cherries that are in the bag on the scale, I'm going to have them estimate prior to, by looking at the bag, how much they think it's going to weigh.
Oh, so estimating
weight.
weight.
So we're going to estimate the weight of the bag of cherries, okay? That would be the first thing I would have them do. And then as we weigh it, they can learn to read the scale, because they're going to actually see what the cherries weighed and see if they're close. And hopefully over time, if they weren't close the first time, they'll get better at that scale. So we could do that with several different items from the produce section.
So estimate the weight of our produce and then read the scale.
That would be the first thing I would do in the grocery store, because that's the direction I take when I go in.
Okay.
Another thing that I might have them do is, as we go through the grocery store, I would have them, with their counting skills, start to tally or keep a mental count of how many items we picked up.
And that would be a great skill for, if your child is young and they're not very good at reading the scale yet, and it's just, they're just learning how to count 1, 2, 3, 4,
right.
Learning how to tally items. And when we tally items, we're really talking about being able to, we put 4 and then we cross for a tally.
To make the 5.
To make the 5 before we start 6, 7, and so on.
So that we're grouping in 5s.
Yeah, that's the piece of tallying, is grouping by 5s.
Okay, so that would be another thing that we could do.
Okay.
As kids get a little older, each item we pick up, I would tell them what the price was, because I'm going to want them to start to do some mental math and keep a running total of what we've actually purchased at that point.
You want them to, through mental math, estimate the total cost?
Right, so if we've picked up an item that's 99 cents, I'm going to hope that my student, or help my child learn that that's close to $1. And so we're talking about money concepts now, and that's going to help them out to be able to keep kind of a running total in their head. And we talk a lot about this at school, about you don't want to get up to the checkout counter and have so many items and you don't have enough cash, and so you have to put things back. And
so learning to round up even. Important.
It's an important skill, so that they can be aware that at the end they're going to have sales tax added on, and they're going to have to account for that by rounding up. So that would be another thing. I would start out with little kids with just a few items on a grocery trip, having them keep that running total, and work up. I wouldn't want to discourage them when they're young or they're first starting this. So I'd start with just a few items on the first trip, and then I'd work up to more items as they get better at that skill. And finally, the proof of the pudding of whether or not they're doing well on that skill is when you get to the checkout counter and you get your bill and have to pay that and see how close they were.
So they're checking the actual to the estimate.
That's right.
So they can kind of, because oftentimes, it's like, well, I rounded up on these items, so should I round down on this item?
And maybe you should on some, and maybe you shouldn't because of the sales tax. So you have all of those different concepts that you can do just by going to the grocery store.
Wow.
What do you think?
I think there's a lot of math involved, and I think there's a lot of great skills, real world skills.
Absolutely.
That can be used just by, I know, sometimes it's hard, you know, my granddaughter's 1.5, so taking her to the grocery store is kind of like,
She might be a little young for
might be a
this.
little young for that. But by the time they, you know, even just telling items could be by the time they're 3, 4, 5 years old.
Absolutely.
So,
And that helps keep them occupied while they're in the store.
all right.
So thanks for joining us again for another episode of By the Numbers.
And for more information, go to mykidstturn.com.